Story number 1, The Haunted Apartment. I was fortunate enough to work with one of my very good friends, Letty. We worked at a floral shop downtown. It was a historical part of town, so the buildings were older and all the stores had apartments above them. That's just the way it was set up. There were a group of guys about my age, college age, or a little bit older, who lived above our shop. They were okay for the most part. Only one gave off really big creeper vibes. He had a bad staring problem and would watch my friend and I a lot, and just creeped on us, and he would wink at us too. Anyways, the day came when they were all moving out. They moved all their stuff out and brought down the keys into our shop for our boss, because she owned the entire place and she was their landlord. When our boss got to the shop, we told her they dropped the keys off for her and were all moved out. She acted excited that they were gone and went upstairs to check out the conditions. She came back downstairs about 5 minutes later and asked for our help. She said the boys left a few things behind and needed help taking it out. Now this is way out of our pay grade. We were hired as florists, not movers or cleaners for that matter. But whatever, when the boss asks you to do something, you do it. My friend Letty and I had never been upstairs before, so we honestly didn't know what to expect. We eventually made our way into the apartment, and I instantly felt a cold shiver on the back of my neck run down my spine. I had an odd feeling, but tried to shake it off. We turned to the left of the entryway door, which led into the living room, and there were stacks upon stacks of Playboys. Apparently the guys didn't want them, so it was up to us to dispose of them. It took 4 trips of going up and down the stairs to clear all of them out of the living room. Once we got to the last load, we went back up, and our boss wanted to show us around the apartment for some reason. She led us out of the living room and down a hallway that led to a few rooms. As we walked down the hallway, the feeling of cold, scary shivers kept getting stronger and stronger. And as we approached the first bedroom, I was almost overwhelmed by this paranormal feeling, like something really bad happened there. Something pure evil. This was very unusual for me. I never get superstitious about anything or believe in the paranormal so much, but feelings like this just can't be explained. It's like you just know, somehow. Anyways, I got to the point of almost passing out and felt like I couldn't get out of there fast enough. My boss quickly showed us the rest of the apartment, and coming back through that hallway, in that same spot, the feeling came over me all over again. Letty and I came back into the shop. I was so relieved to be out of there. I felt like a huge heaviness was instantly lifted off of me. Letty and I both got back to work, cleaning flowers. We got a pretty big shipment of roses in that day. I was pretty quiet thinking about everything that just happened, wondering if I was crazy and what the heck was wrong with me, thinking I must be losing it. Letty was pretty quiet too. I figured it was because I was being quiet. I wanted to ask her so badly if she thought it felt weird up there, but I was afraid she was going to think I was crazy. I kept contemplating asking her about it. About half an hour later, she looked up at me and said, "Can I ask you something?" I said yes. She hesitated for a few seconds and then said, "Promise you won't think I'm crazy or make fun of me?" My ears perked up. I said, "Of course not. I have something I want to ask you too, but you go first." She asked, "Did you feel anything weird or scary upstairs?" I immediately dropped my knife out of shock and blurted out, "Oh my gosh, yes! You too?" Her mouth immediately dropped, and we started finishing each other's sentences because we knew what the other was going to say. She said a very cold, dark, And then I finished her sentence by saying, "In the hallway by the first bedroom?" She screamed, "Yes!" and came running over to me and hugged me, and I hugged her back. We had been quiet because we were so scared and thinking we were crazy until we learned that both of us felt and thought the same thing. Then it turned to straight up creeped out. What the heck are the odds that we both had the same feeling at the same spot? We gathered our composure and tried to get back to work before our boss returned. She eventually came back an hour later. We eased her into a conversation about the apartment. We told her in the most lighthearted and most polite way we could that the place was a little creepy. And she shrugged and said, "Well, yeah, I guess it would be." We asked her, "What do you mean?" She responded, "Oh, I thought you girls knew. There was a murder there a few years ago. A guy killed some other guy there. In the hallway near that first bedroom is where they found him." She walked off into her office so nonchalantly. Letty and I looked at each other with our jaws dropped, in complete shock. What the actual heck? What are the odds that we both picked up something dark and evil and in the same spot, the same time, without the other knowing? We made a vow that day to never go back upstairs no matter what. I truly believe something evil still lives in there. Some sort of evil spirit is still lingering in that apartment, and I plan on never going back. Story number 2. Scary birthday party. I was 14 at the time and was invited to my best friend Sarah's birthday party. It was 5 of us girls, and we planned on having a fun girls' sleepover at her house, consisting of eating pizza, lots of junk food, and scary movies. She always talked about how her house was haunted. She would tell me about how you could hear footsteps when no one was there, doors flying shut, rugs being lifted off the floor and onto the table, cabinets and drawers opening on their own. I never believed her. I figured there had to be a logical explanation for it all. But in all seriousness, I was always afraid to go to her house. Well, to stay the night for that reason, because she said these things generally happened at night. Anyways, my mom dropped me off at Sarah's house. We were having a blast, watching movies and eating our favorite junk food, nacho Dorito chips with cheese melted on them. I know, that's not very healthy. Don't judge. We were having fun, talking about our crushes. It got to be nighttime and one of the girls started asking about how her house is haunted, which led us to wanting to be creepy and go outside with flashlights looking for ghosts. I don't know why we thought we should go outside at midnight, but whatever. We were having fun being silly teenagers. I guess there are far worse things we could have been doing. Anyways, we were walking around in the dark until we heard what sounded like a man mumbling. As we walked further, we seen an old man murmuring. It scared us so bad that we went back into the house. Sarah said it was one of her neighbors, but still, it scared us enough to where we decided to call it a night. I had a hard time falling asleep, and so did my friend Nikki. We kept hearing footsteps all throughout the night. I slept with the covers over my head. I don't know why, but it made me feel safer. Around 3 a.m., I heard a gunshot. It woke a few of us up. It freaked us out, but we didn't know what to think. It was just one shot, so we didn't think much of it, and we went back to bed. A few hours later, around 6 or 7 a.m., I woke up to lights and sounds of ambulance and cops. Cops questioned us about Sarah's neighbor. We told them we seen him walking around his yard in the dark in the middle of the night, and also that we heard a gunshot around 3 a.m. Sarah's mom came inside the house with a very sad and concerned look on her face. Sarah asked her mom what was wrong. She was about to cry, and she said the old man committed suicide. He shot himself. All of us were so shocked. I couldn't believe we were the only ones to see that man before he died. I know I was really young and just a kid at the time, but I wish I would have at least said hi to the man. Who knows? Maybe he just needed a friend, someone to talk to, or just a smile. I don't know the entire story. I don't know if he was drunk, or depressed, or going through a hard time. I wasn't told many details because of my age. I do regret not saying anything though. It haunts me to this day. Story number 3, Wrong Turn. It was the middle of summer, and my sister and I really wanted to go on our first road trip without an adult. Our parents' divorce was getting finalized, and we really just wanted to get out of town. We didn't want to be around for it. We decided we would go to Tennessee, spend some time in Nashville, and then visit Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. I had just bought my first car, on my own, my dream car, a candy apple red Ford Mustang. We were so excited to go out of town and have some fun. We loaded up the car with plenty of outfits, some snacks for the road, and a music playlist just for our trip. So we hopped in the car and started to head south. We were making really good timing. We decided that we were going to make the trip to Tennessee in one day, so that way we would have more time to have fun. We were really making good time too. We made it to the state line in only 6 hours. Once we got to the state line, we started to get into bumper-to-bumper traffic. My car started to smoke under the hood. I was paranoid and I knew nothing about cars. There was nowhere for me to turn off at. We were in the middle of the mountains. We eventually made our way near an exit sign, so we exited off and found a gas station. I called my uncle, who lived only a state away, to ask him what I should do. He told me to go inside the gas station and see if there was a mechanic or anyone working there that could help me. So I found a guy that worked there, said he worked on cars. He came out and looked at my engine, and I don't know exactly what he did, but I watched him pour water over the engine. He told me to let the car rest for 10 minutes, then it should be good to go. I had no idea what he did, but I thanked him anyway. I offered to give him a tip, and he creepily said, "Oh no, I don't want your money, but I'll take a hug." My sister gave me a dirty look, and I gently gave him a hug and walked away. Yeah, not smart, I know. Anyways, we get into the car, and I start driving because it stopped smoking. But as soon as I got back on the highway, the car started smoking really bad, and had a hard time driving this time. So I tried to coast my way to the next exit, and we barely made it. The car died in the parking lot of a small old diner. At this point, it was 1 a.m. and I was so tired, scared, and frustrated and had no idea what to do. No one was open, and it was so black out we couldn't see anything. We were able to see that there was a hotel across the parking lot. We looked out on that. We decided to leave the car and call it a night. So we walked over to the hotel and got a room. The next morning, I called a local shop there in town to have them look at the car and see what was going on. We left the hotel and started walking through the town to find the mechanic's shop. It was daylight, so we were able to see things much better. The town was really small, less than 500 people, and it had just a few places. A gas station, a couple stores in town, a diner, and a closed-up 1950s hamburger joint. We jokingly said it looked like that little town in the movie House of Wax, and it did. It looked just like that town, and people were even creepy there. We felt like we were on a different planet. It really felt like we were on a movie set from a horror film. We finally found the shop. They had already towed our Mustang to the shop. There was at least 6 guys working in this tiny shop, and my car was the only car they were working on. They took us to a back room, telling us we could wait there. It had a couch and a bathroom in it, no TV, and this was before cell phones were smartphones, so we literally had nothing to help pass the time. We got there around 9 a.m., and by this time it was 1 p.m., and the guys were still sitting on their butts on a table in their office. All they had done all day was talk and bullshit. No work was being done. They were having lunch, and we were sitting in a hot room at their mercy. The main man came into the room, looked at us, and started to pee right in front of us. I was mortified. My younger sister looked me in the eyes with fear and shock. She was just a minor. She was only 16 at the time. He practically whipped out his junk and just started to pee. I was so mad. How dare he do that, and especially in front of a minor? So disrespectful and unprofessional. After he finished his business and walked out with the other guys and kept talking, I marched out there and asked him what was going on with my car, and that we needed to know because if it wasn't going to be fixed that day, we needed to make arrangements for the night, being that we were stranded in an unfamiliar town far from home. I should have never told them this, because this gave them the idea that they could take advantage of us. The main guy said that it needed a new fan for the motor or something, and that it would take a day or 2 to get the part ordered. Why they didn't tell us that in the morning when they first found out? Why did they let us sit there for half a day watching them not work? I was so frustrated, but I tried not to show it. I politely asked, "Okay, is there anyone available to give us a ride to the hotel?" The guy who peed in front of us, let's call him Mr. Urinator. Mr. Urinator volunteered to take us, happily, and was giddy about it. A little too giddy. We got the majority of our belongings and got him out of my car and put him into his truck. Got into the truck. I sat in the middle because I knew my sister was nervous. I had a short jean skirt on. You know, when it was popular to wear jean mini skirts. Well, it wasn't real short, but it was above my knee. And I didn't realize until after I scooted to the middle and he said, "Can I get between your legs?" That I realized the gear shift was between my legs. He had the creepiest smile on his face. I moved my legs away from the shift and leaned them as far as I could into my sister so that he wouldn't come close. He made some dumb comment about, "You don't say that every day to a girl." Lucky for us, the hotel was only a mile away. He even asked our ages as we got to the hotel. We were so creeped out. We got our things as fast as we could and got inside the hotel. Thankfully, they had vacancies for the next few nights. I'm not over-exaggerating when I say everyone we ran into there was beyond weird. That town was so bizarre. 2 days went by, and we survived on pizza deliveries and hotel breakfast. 2 days went by, and the guy told us our car wasn't going to be fixed for another day and a half. So we stayed another 2 days in the hotel. The guys at the shop kept giving us the runaround. We ended up staying at the hotel for an entire week. No one was staying there, and I can see why. A creepy, empty old town with weird people. The pool had been drained. Looked like it had been empty for quite some time. There was nothing to do there but watch TV and eat pizza. We were going nuts. I eventually called my aunt and uncle who lived in North Carolina, since they weren't too far away. My parents had a busy week of divorce court, so I really didn't want to bother either one of them. So my aunt and uncle were our best option. I told them what was going on, and they came and picked us up and took us back to their house. My uncle spoke with my dad and updated him on what was going on with us girls, and gave him the shop info too. We ended up having a good time at my aunts and uncles, spending time with our cousins and horseback riding. We had a good time until my dad called my uncle and had a conversation that I knew was serious. My uncle took me aside and sat me down. Apparently that shop was trying to swindle more money and stole my Mustang. My dad got so mad that he threatened the shop over the phone and basically said he was going to call the cops if they didn't give my car back. They basically seen two girls who they thought were rich and tried to take advantage of the situation without any parents around. By the way, we're not rich. My dad told them he was coming down in 2 days' time and that they better have my car parked at the shop or the cops will be there. They basically were trying to hold my car for ransom. It was so bizarre. I started to cry because I had just gotten the car. My aunt and uncle told me not to be upset or worry, and that my dad had it under control, and that he'd be there shortly to take care of it. And that's exactly what my dad did. He drove down, got my car, and hooked it up on his trailer, and we towed it all the way home from Tennessee to Michigan. Come to find out, my dad did contact the local police. They advised getting us girls out of town because these guys were bad news. And I guess that's a big reason why my aunt and uncle took care of us. The cops called us after we got back and wanted us girls to come down to Tennessee and to testify for a court trial. They wanted us to testify about Mr. Urinator peeing in front of us and all the remarks and comments he made towards us, because he had multiple charges against him. One being rape of a minor, and he was already a registered sex offender. My dad said he didn't want to put us girls through more grief, but would be willing to have us do a written testimony. But, lucky for us, it ended up they didn't need our testimony. They had so much evidence against this guy that it wasn't necessary. I can't believe we were stranded in such a vulnerable position with such a dangerous man. We later learned that the other guys went to jail for robbery and theft. It's safe to say that we were not safe at all. Thank God our aunt and uncle came and got us, and thank God we had enough sense to stay clear of those guys while we were trapped in town. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the town name is the name of a horror movie. Honest to God, guys, I can't make this stuff up. As if this town wasn't creepy enough, they had to have a horror movie name. My sister and I will never return to that town as long as we live. We will walk to the next exit if we have to. Never again will I go there. I definitely took the wrong turn that day. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you would. This is a new channel, and if you hit the subscribe button and the like button, it really helps me out. And if you have a story that you would like to have shared, my email is down below in the description box. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and stay safe.